This is the Samsung Galaxy Watch 4. Samsung's latest attempt to go, hey everyone, look at me, put down your Apple Watches and see that we can also make good smartwatches. And clearly they had to be doing something right, seeing how they convinced me to buy a Samsung Galaxy Watch 4. However, is there enough good and new features to it to make it finally a worthwhile smartwatch? Well, there's definitely a lot of new stuff to it, but still somehow not enough. Now, visually, it looks absolutely outstanding, and you can buy it in two different variants. You can either buy the Galaxy Watch 4 Classic or the non-classic, which I have right here. The non-classic comes in both 40 and 44mm variants, and I have the gold 40mm variant here, while the classic comes in either 42mm or 46mm. There are a few other key differences between the two watches which I have gone into recently, so I recommend you check out that video. It's going to be up in the iCards. And it does look pretty spectacular. And if you don't like the look of the strap it comes with, well, you can pretty much mix and match. They even provide a nice tool online to see exactly how your strap will look with your watch. And looking at it, it seems like any other Samsung smartwatch. You can just swipe right to get to all the different faces and discover all the different things your watch can do, and you can swipe down to access all your apps. And this is one of the key areas that's different, because Samsung has finally migrated over to WearOS for this watch, which should in theory mean a lot of extra support coming in from the Google ecosystem. That should mean a lot more apps and a lot more compatibility. That all sounds pretty great, and we're all excited to see exactly what kind of apps we can now access on our Galaxy Watch with WearOS. However, the Google Play Store on the Galaxy Watch is still very malnourished. Most of the apps on there are just third-party variants of stuff that the watch can already do, with a few additional first-party apps from either Samsung or Google, like for example YouTube Music. There really isn't much to choose from there despite the shift over to WearOS. And the support from big third-party apps is laughable, at least right now. For example, one of the big features that many people would like to buy a smartwatch for is to receive notifications on it, so they can just glance up at a wrist and see who requires their attention instead of pulling out a phone. It's only a few seconds of saved time, but still, in today's busy world, it's always something. However, right now, getting that kind of functionality for anything other than just your standard text messages is near impossible, because if you want to get text notifications from apps you use more, for example say Discord, well, you're out of luck. Now, this is probably something that will date this review when more support for this ecosystem comes in, but for now, it's definitely very lacking in that area. But as is the case with most smartwatches, the health features are one of the key areas. It can track all the basic stuff, like for example minutes spent exercising or steps taken throughout the day, but even more interesting stuff as well, for example your heart rate, or it can even analyze your sleep and tell you how much time you spend in a more deep sleep compared to a more light sleep. And one of the main features that Samsung really pushed is body composition. That's right, with the magic of current gen tech, this tiny watch can analyze your entire body composition, and that is all pretty amazing. But in the hands of the average person, this would probably all seem more like a gimmick than a really essential feature. And that's one thing that's been really killing me about the whole smartwatch industry, because not everyone is an athlete or someone who needs to monitor their health to such a degree. People like that already have Fitbits and whatnot, so it always annoyed me when companies like Samsung or Apple still try to cater so much to this kind of people and try to make so much of the value proposition of their smartwatches the health features, while in reality, not many people will care about them. Yes, as a tech nerd, I love that this thing can analyze my body composition or my sleep, but it's nothing more than a gimmick for me, because I'm not the kind of person that needs to so meticulously measure their health. Yes, granted, just probably looking at me, you can tell I'm not the healthiest person in the world. And while we're complaining, let's complain about some more stuff that really annoys me about this watch. Number one, I hate how many times it asks you to enter a PIN. If it loses track of your phone for a second, or if you haven't used it for a while, or if it just feels like you've not been appreciating it enough, it will just lock up and require you to enter a PIN, even though pressing buttons accurately on such a small screen is already a pain and a half. Now, a PIN isn't strictly required, but you do need it if you want to access stuff like, for example, its Samsung Pay integration, if you want to pay contactlessly via your Galaxy. And what a missed opportunity it is to add an option to sign in using a fingerprint. I mean, this thing has already so many sensors and whatnot to measure everything about you, but it can't read a fingerprint. Like, if they have to lock up your watch so often for that reason, just imagine what kind of game changer it would be if they added in a fingerprint reader to the home button. it'll make it so much less annoying. Another thing that can be annoying is the navigation, at least on the non-classic variant here. Now on the classic, you can simply just use the dial on it to shift between the tiles, but on here, on the non-classic, you basically just have to grab the edge of the screen and run your finger across it to quickly switch between tiles. Not only can it be difficult to get the placement right of where it wants your finger, but also it can very quickly cause some friction burns. Not to mention, it's going to leave a lot of fingerprints on your beautiful, beautiful Galaxy Watch. Another thing that's kind of annoying is how many different apps you need to actually use this thing. Firstly, if you want to, for example, customize stuff about a watch, you need to go into the Galaxy WearOS app. If you want to track some of the Galaxy Watch's more interesting health features, like for example body composition or heart rate, you need to get this Samsung Health Monitor app. And then for other health features, like for example steps or analyzing sleep, you need the base Samsung Health app. That's a lot of different apps you need to be constantly moving between just to access all the things that this watch has to offer. Why? It should always simply be integrated into a single app. Or even, if they want to take it a step further, make it all an extension of just a Bluetooth feature within your Samsung phone. Because as it is right now, having to use 3 different apps on your phone just to fully utilize this thing is a joke. And that's just first-party apps. You may have some third-party stuff as well on your phone that you need to run your watch properly. So that becomes a real mess. And while I wish I could spend more of this video complaining, because complaining makes you feel good, there really isn't much else that really annoys me about this watch that is worth complaining about. But that's partly also because there's just so little to it to begin with. Once again, there simply isn't enough to make it a really necessary purchase. Features that I really can't imagine to live without. Though there is one that I really appreciate, and that's the fact that you can control your Galaxy Buds via the watch. Because normally if you want to enable or disable touch controls on your Galaxy Buds, you have to dig deep within the Galaxy Wear app to do it. But here you can quickly just do that and more on your Galaxy Watch. And combined with media control to control your music, it makes it a great companion to your Galaxy Buds. And that's really all there is to this thing. It's a beautiful watch with a lot going for it, and still definitely has way more features and way more functionality than previous Samsung Galaxy Watches, and totally way more functionality than many other smartwatches currently on the market. However, once the initial coolness factor of it runs out, there really isn't too much under the hood to make it worth the bother, at least in my opinion. If you're someone who really cares about health features, then this thing will be awesome for you. But for people like me who really don't care about the health features, there really isn't much else left over. Being able to more easily access options for my Galaxy Buds is probably one of the better features, and being able to use it with Samsung Pay is also pretty cool. But if all of these features don't excite you that much, then I totally understand if you wanna just wait it out a bit longer and wait for the Samsung Galaxy Watch 5. And hopefully by then there'll be more apps available on WearOS as well to add up much needed third-party support. Regardless, if you want to buy this thing yourself, our Amazon associates links for it are going to be down in the video description below. And if you use those links, we get some money while you don't pay anything extra, so it's a win-win. And if you want to help support the channel in another way, then maybe check out my Patreon, because even $1 a month goes a long way in helping out this channel, and it allows us to make way better videos and videos on way more interesting topics. Not to mention that you get access to my brand new series of blog posts on my Patreon where I dive even deeper into products I review. So yes, there'll be a blog post about this watch there as well. I'd also love to thank my existing patrons Gavin Burns, Ryan, OKB, Meg Sumner, Shane Allcroft, Lance B, and Comic Age Clothing. Thank you guys so much. Support truly goes a long way. Down there you're also going to find our Discord server if you want to talk to me or us about this or whatever else really. And then there's also our social media links as well. But anyway, that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to subscribe, like, whatever, and I'll see you all in whatever I make next. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.